I could start by asking Jason about the process of creating and performing Chris Johnson. And how was that? How did you do that? Was that very similar to Andy Serkis's, the way Andy Serkis did Gollum?
Creating Christopher Johnson he's a digital character, so he's a CG character. So we basically borrowed an idea from Pirates of the Caribbean where there were these things called rotomation suits. So you basically wear a leotard. You look exactly like something from MCQP. You're on you're on these little like articulated sort of aluminium mechanized stilts, and in an embarrassingly tight silver leotard, and with little modesty shorts over the immodest areas, and then you just act basically exactly like you're a normal actor, and then the points get fed into the computer, and they paint you out. The problem with this is obviously you're dealing with a character that has no mouth, and he doesn't speak English, so getting the emotion across was the big, because it was an improvised film. We improvised a lot of the scenes. I mean, Neil wrote the action very specifically, but then you'd give us leeway to try and pull emotion out of each thing. So that was the difficult part, is how do you get emotion out of a 7-foot-tall roach? And that took ages to figure it out. It took months to figure it out properly, to the point where Christopher's the only nice guy in the film, except for Foot Diesel.
Well, you say you perform it.
Sorry. He always gets upset.
You say you perform it just like an actor would perform a normal part. But I mean, how do you perform a normal part in a silver spandex suit with a character that has very, very little use of his face?
The crew used to call me Nutsack. So you just get rid of your pride very quickly, and you just got to focus on it. And we trained for months. We trained for a hell of a long time.
And he's on stilts too. You were on stilts the entire time.
Yeah, we're on stilts the whole time.
Platforms.
Yeah. So you're raised up. You spend hours and hours watching YouTube videos of insects eating each other, and then watching seagulls twitch their heads, and then spend ages attacking things in the flats. Obviously by yourself.
Did you eat many roaches yourself?
I attacked a lot of pillows, like, and then like jumped on things, and I had to close the door because it was embarrassing. And but you do that for ages and ages and ages and ages, and eventually you can just do it on set as well, and then you kind of get used to it.
What's your favorite cat food?
Unfortunately, they cast a vegetarian in the role of the cat food eating, and you have to walk around,
That's sod's law. That always happens. You spoke briefly about all three of you have, about the improvised nature of the film. How far away from what did the original screenplay look like? Was there actual dialogue written down there, or
this is almost exactly the original screenplay? But what Neil did with the improvising was to try and create leeway inside of the scenes to give them a bit of juice. So we'd always shoot. He'd have a very specific thing. We'd shoot the safety first. And then you'd be like, right, cool, just let's start veering off the script, and then you'd veer us off, you'd let us. It was just the way that he liked to shoot, so that you could get a lot of different kinds of emotive options.
A special effects question, I think, because whichever one of you, unfortunately we don't have Max Pullman here from MXFX, but how did you pull this off, seriously, on a $30 million budget? I mean, Starship Troopers 3 was done on a $20 million budget, and it doesn't look this good. It doesn't look anywhere
near. Does anyone know
good.
Max Pullman? Yeah. Yes, have you met him? Max loves blowing stuff up. He just absolutely lives to do it. He was on another job, and then he found out, he was in Cape Town, he wasn't supposed to be on the movie at all. He found out that the quantity of stuff that we were shooting and how many things were blowing up, and he flew up. He was there the next day. He was like, no, I've got to do this. And then he'd be on set, and he just loves it. So they pushed themselves really hard. The special effects guys were fantastic, and they worked with a team of visual effects guys from Canada, and they plugged in together really well. They had these long conversations. It'd be like, cool, if you can blow up that shack, we'll enhance it with the laser thing that can, So they were so excited about being able to blow and shoot and just destroy an unlimited amount of stuff that they just went all out, and it looks fantastic, I think.
Once every department head, Max and the other department heads, met the director, read the script, met the director, they really, really, really wanted to be a part of this movie from the beginning. We all did. Every time, for all of us, the actors, all of us. Once we got to know Neil, you wanted, even if you didn't exactly know where the whole thing was going, you wanted to throw yourself into it and help him make the movie that he wanted to make.
Well, you mentioned earlier that it's one of the most fun productions you've worked on. I mean, that's high praise, considering your career. You've worked on Nightmare on Elm Street, you worked on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. I mean, you've done some seriously big, iconic cult movies in your time. You know, how does it compare? How did it compare?
It was
And what made it such a great experience?
Neil, really. You know, first of all, I made the decision to move from Los Angeles to South Africa a few years ago because I enjoy making movies here more than I do in the United States.
Why is that?
Oh, that's a all-night conversation over a few beers. This is a fun place. It's a fun place, and what I have hoped to do in the 6 years that I've lived here was get to bring a little of Hollywood to South Africa. I knew that this country could do it. I knew that the crews could. Again, I first shot a movie here in 1994, and this country is becoming a cooler place in a lot of respects, and it's a cooler place to make movies. I don't think Neil could have made this movie in the United States. He definitely couldn't have made it in the studio system. And again, it was Peter Jackson, who's the producer, who very much protected Neil and helped him make the movie on a creative level that he wanted to do. Then those of us in South Africa were given the task of, again, helping him make the movie. I love the department heads. I mean, in this country, they're my friends. You know, these guys are my good friends in this country. So to get to make a movie with Charlotte and Jason and Vanessa, where you feel like you're just a bunch of guys out there making a movie, it couldn't be better. For somebody who loves making movies, I mean, Jason and Charlotte are both filmmakers, writers themselves, you know? And yeah, it was just cool. I mean, Bill and Ted was fun, yeah, but it's, but this is way, way, way better.
One of the first questions that I got bombarded with via email was, how the hell did you pull this off without nobody knowing?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, from our side, the actor's side, we had some serious confidentiality contracts. So we weren't allowed to say a word to anybody. We were just, when people asked me what I was doing, I said, working on a movie.
Right.
You know, we weren't allowed to say Peter Jackson, you weren't allowed to say...
You had another name for
it. Was
Timber's Return.
Oh, it was Timber's Return. Timber's Return was the first one, and there was also Project X. And yeah, so I think that's, hey, am I right? We just, it was a confidentiality.
Actors were allowed to have scripts. The scripts were all secretly encoded, because Peter Jackson has had bad experiences in the past of scripts getting out on the internet and people finding out the ending and just, you know.
Yeah, the scripts changed daily. we had white sheets, yellow sheets, green sheets, pink ones. But that's what's awesome about Neil, is he's very organic, and he changes as he's very creative. So as sort of the creative juices are flowing and he's seeing things happening, he's able to sort of just change things. He's not too set in his ways, which is great.
But still, I mean, the confidentiality is the one thing, but how did you hide the explosions, the helicopter shots? I was about to say the spaceship, but I mean,
they just blended right in.
How did you hide that ship in Joburg?
No, it was fine. It was
we were in Cliptown, nobody paid attention.
Yeah, everyone was just like, okay, fine. Once we were there, we were working with the community, we filmed lots of different stuff, and they all knew us very well, and everybody, the old grannies and the children, they all knew what we, like, you know, totally blasé, like helicopters hovering and machine gunning cars, and they were just walking to the shop, and
we were hidden, and we were hidden in Nazareth as well. So
nobody
saw us.
Nobody knew, so nobody cared.
Nobody knew,
Nobody paid attention, you know. And we weren't beating our chests, telling the world what we were doing.
Because I heard rumors around about May last year. And I dug deep, and I couldn't find anything. There was nothing. The closest the closest information I ever got was, yeah, Pete Jackson may be in town, but we don't know why. It's like, oh, come on.